Alright guys, prepare for a long video of Toy Story 3. One of my top 5 favorite movies ever. This might be my favorite movie, honestly. Now that I think about it, this might be my favorite movie of all time. Um, with all the movies I've seen in my life, this one is one of the most important, one of the most emotional and sentimental movies I've ever seen. And I have reviewed Toy Story 1 and 2, and I told in both of those reviews how important these movies are to me and how important they were to my childhood. How just great movies they were already in the first place, because even people who weren't my age whenever the movie came out, the first one, it got critical praise. The first two movies, and this one is no exception either. This one as well got enormous critical praise. So Toy Story 3 is a one that's very interesting to talk about, because it is maybe my favorite movie of all time. So there's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to say that I like about this movie or love about this movie. So strap in. I love how the opening of the movie starts out with Andy playing with the toys, but it's where they're moving, but it's in his imagination. So they look just like they do whenever they're actually alive in the movie. I love that distinction, or not distinction, that similarity. That's so interesting and so fascinating. Just using that is such a cool way to open the movie, with a train chase from his imagination and his point of view, and also the fact that this movie starts out happy, in which it's still Andy as a kid, and then it flash forwards to old camera footage of Andy throughout the years, or throughout a couple years of his life, of him playing with all these toys. And it plays Randy Newman's "You Got a Friend in Me," which is perfect. And I love the fact that that at the end of the song, it cuts where it is a haunting sound, where Randy Newman in the song says, "And as the years go by, our friendship will never die." And it cuts on that moment where it says, "Our friendship will never die," and it just cuts on a blank, dark moment of sound, and it cuts to current day, where Andy is 17 years old, and the toys are all in toy box and haven't been played for years. And I love that moment. That is such a horrifying thing in the movie, honestly, about just literally the music cue ending, where like it's so happy and then it ends on a dire, sad note. But anyways, it starts out after the opening of footage of Andy as a kid. It cuts to the toys now, and whenever Andy is 17 years old. These toys have not been played with for years. I love the fact that there are only a set number of toys left. In the first two Toy Story movies, there were dozens of toys in Andy's room. And in this film, and it makes sense, because he is 17 years old. He has, throughout the years, given away toys, or his mom has given away toys at yard sales or spring cleanings, as Woody has said in the dialogue. But we only have the core group of toys here. We have Woody, Buzz, Slinky, Ham, Rex, Jesse, Bullseye, Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, and the three army men at the beginning of the movie. Bo Peep is not in the movie, except for in the footage at the beginning of the movie. She's just in the opening footage as a silent cameo, as is other toys, like all the other dozens of toys that have been sold throughout the years, like Wheezy or Etch or RC or the Snake. Like, all these toys are gone besides the basic core group. And I love the fact that Woody starts out, because it starts out with them again, they're in the toy box, and they have taken Andy's phone and call his phone just to have Andy open the box to maybe get an idea of him playing with them, or get the urge to have Andy play with them. But then it fails, of course, and they come out of the toy box and talk about how that was their last shot. Like, Andy's going to college any day now. All they want is to desperately be played with, and they haven't had that for years. This kid has grown up, and it's not into toys anymore. And it's such a sad moment where Woody says, like, "We need a staff meeting. Come on, Slink, let's round everybody up." And then he just says, "We are gathered, Woody." And, like, you look around, and it's just the basic core group. All the other toys have been sold throughout the years. And I love the fact that Sarge and his two other army men leave. Like, the bucket of army men soldiers are gone except for three. So Sarge, it's a great way to keep Arlie Ermy in his last role in this movie. So Sarge and only two other army men are still there. The other ones have been sold off wherever throughout the years. But I love the fact that Sarge leaves, And then everybody is paranoid, like, are we going to get thrown away? We're getting abandoned. Like, Jesse thinks they're going to be abandoned just like how Emily abandoned her. And I love the fact that everybody's freaking out and hyperventilating, and Woody just says, everybody quiet, stop. Like, we're all still here. And then he says, yeah, I mean, I know we lost friends along the way. And then he starts mentioning, like, Wheezy, Etch, and he stutters, and then Rex says, Bo Peep, in a sad voice, and then Woody just looks at him and gives a shrug and says, yeah, even Bo. And it's just such an incredible emotional moment from Woody's point of view, because Woody loved Bo, and it's so sad because that character, even though she wasn't in the movies as that much in the first two movies, she was an important character as much as the other ones, so it's so sad to see her go. But logically, it makes complete sense that why would Andy or Molly, after Molly is not a toddler anymore, why would either of them have kept a nursery lamp of Bo Peep? They wouldn't have kept that, a porcelain lamp. And also, if Bo Peep was in this movie, she wouldn't have lasted throughout all of this stuff that the toys have gone through in the movie, at the end of the movie, because she's porcelain. She would have broken really easily. But it's just a heartbreaking reaction where Woody just says that she's gone. And even though we know she's in Toy Story 4 and very important in Toy Story 4, I like the fact that she's not in this movie. I like that it really does show a true set of loss that these characters have had. They have lost all these other friends who have gone on to new owners. And it's just so sad and heartbreaking. And I love that moment of them just reflecting on that. Like, they're the only ones left. And Woody even says, like, but through every yard sale, through every spring cleaning, Andy held on to us, so we must mean something to him or we wouldn't be here. And I love that Woody is so enamored with keeping whatever Andy wants him to keep him in the attic or take him to college. He wants to do this while the other toys are really not thinking the same way. Woody is so devoted to Andy while the other ones do love Andy but are not thinking the same way because he has grown up. And Jessie has seen this happen before, so she's definitely not on that side of, like, waiting. Like, they don't know what they're going to do with the rest of their life, like where they're going to go next. So it's scary for them, and I love how it's just perfected and just how these characters are so scared. Really love that. And it's just so depressing. And I love the fact that Andy, being a 17-year-old kid, like, doesn't even think about the repercussions of this, but Andy's mom tells him to start packing stuff up more, and, like, whatever's going to be there at the end of the week is going in the trash. Like, it's getting thrown out. So, like, put it in the attic or take it for college. And Andy gets a trash bag to put all the toys in, throws them all in, takes one last look at Woody and Buzz in the toy box, lifts them both out, looks at both of them, throws Buzz in the trash bag with all the other toys, and Woody is taken to the college box. So Woody's going to be taken to college while everybody else is taken to the attic in a garbage bag. But of course Andy's a teenager, so he puts him in a garbage bag, and Andy's mom accidentally throws it on the curb, even though they escape. I love that builds on their characters too, and how everybody except for Woody is now even more mad that, like, Andy threw us away. Like, they think he's thrown everybody away. He even called them junk whenever the mom was talking to him and saying, like, what are we going to do with these old toys? And Andy says, nobody wants those old toys, they're junk. And he says that just because he doesn't want his mom to do anything with them, but it just builds on these toys and their uncertainty, and, like, how Woody has such a devotion to Andy while these other ones are seeing so many things with Andy that is wrong, that, like, they don't want to they want to find more happiness than this and just being in the attic. Just so great. And I love how they escape certain death in the trash bag. Like, that's really a good moment too, because Woody and the reveal of, like, them, like, hiding behind, like, a recycling box going into the garage is great. And I love that they are taken to Sunnyside because the other toys want to. They realize that they're going in a box for Sunnyside where one of Molly's Barbies is in there, which is great to see Jodie Benson back as Barbie. That's really great because she was so funny in the last one. I like having her back in this one. That's really great. And they go with Barbie to Sunnyside, and they get there and everything seems so great. And I love the fact that everybody's just so happy immediately, except for Woody, who again is so devoted to Woody. or to Andy. He's so devoted to Andy in a way where he wants them to go home. Like, this is not what their owner wants. Like, but they think he's moved on completely, and it makes total sense in the writing and how they perceive that. Um, and I even love the fact that Woody says to him, like, "All right, everyone, I know, even I admit that this is great, but we've got to go home." And I love the fact that everybody's like, "Woody, you can stay with us. Come on, come on." And he's like, "No, I have a kid. You have a kid, Andy." And like he tells them like that his name's on their boot. Like they like Andy, if he wants us at college or if he wants us in the attic, like we got to do what he wants. Um, and I love that Jesse just screams at him and says, "Woody, wake up. It's over. Andy's all grown up." And I love Woody's reaction because it's so horrible, but it makes sense from his point of view where he just says, "All right, fine, perfect. I can't believe how selfish you all are." And like he just looks at them and they don't look at him happily. And like he just says, "So this is it? After all we've been through." And it's just so incredibly hard to watch. And the only one who defends Woody because he doesn't talk is Bullseye. He goes up to him and nudges him, and Woody's just like, "I'm sorry, pal, but you gotta stay with them. Like I wouldn't want you to be alone in that attic." And that like it's just such a great moment as well for Bullseye. Um, but so Woody escapes and is taken by Bonnie and a little girl that's just there. And I love how this movie, after this, we get introduced to so many wonderful new characters. I love how this movie has a million toy characters. Like there are so many of them. Again, Barbie is great, and also we get Ken. Michael Keaton voices Ken, which is hilarious and is perfect. It's really, really great voice casting. Ken is very great in this movie, and Michael Keaton is just, he is top notch in his humor in this movie, and I love his performance. It's so great. Um, and Lotso, the first good guy in the movie, and then you realize is the villain, is a great villain who, like Stinky Pete, is horrible, but you see every reason why he's horrible. And I like how they did this for a second time in this trilogy, but it works perfect. Um, and whenever Woody's taken to Bonnie's, all these toys that Woody encounters are so memorable. Like he finds all these colorful new characters, and I love how this is in a different room than Andy, so it's a different type of playing. And Bonnie is a nice little kid, and she plays with the toys like Andy does, but in a way that's different. And I like how Woody is happy there, even though he needs to go back. But I really like all these characters. Like, you've got like Timothy Dalton as Mr. Pricklepants, or Jeff Garlin as Buttercup, or Bonnie Hunt as Dolly, or Trixie. Shaw plays Trixie, and they're all very, very well casted and very funny, likable characters. And I really like just their voices work very well. Like Mr. Pricklepants is like this guy who's very like Shakespearean, and like he gets kind of frustrated, and Timothy Dalton does great. And Jeff Garlin as like a unicorn is so funny. Like just that thought in your head, because Jeff Garlin is hilarious. I really like that as well. And just all these new characters in Bonnie's room, and Chuckles the Clown is great too. I like how all these characters are so different and unique from the other ones we've seen before, and they just really are likable characters. Um, and I like how Woody, during his stay at Bonnie's, realizes that with Chuckles the Clown, who was one of Daisy's toys, who Daisy had Chuckles, Lotso, and Big Baby, another character from the Sunnyside Daycare. That's the second-hand man to Lotso, this creepy baby doll who just doesn't really speak much, who is so sympathetic whenever you feel the backstory and realize what happened with Lotso and Chuckles and Big Baby, where Woody hears that they have, like, they had an owner, Daisy, and then she leaves them behind on accident, and like she gets a new Lotso, and Lotso is furious, and like he tells Big Baby like she doesn't love you anymore, and they go back after days of like probably walking back home to Daisy's house. They find she's got a new Lotso, and like Lotso's furious and lies Big Baby. And it's just such a sad moment, and a sad moment of them just on the back of a truck, like dirty and wet, like driving all around, like riding riding on the back of a truck, getting thrown off into the rain, and then they find Sunnyside, and that's where Lotso takes over and becomes this horrible dictator. And it's just such an incredibly sad backstory for Lotso and for Big Baby and Chuckles. Even though Lotso twists the truth around, where it's just him that's replaced, he doesn't want either of them to go back. And it's just so sad, and it's truly an incredible scene with the musical score, with how it's lighted. It looks very dark and very brooding, and very just depressing. Like, it is legitimately depressing watching those scenes of Lotso finding like he's been replaced. It's incredible. And I also love the fact that Buzz gets delusional again. Like, throughout these, like, the other toys are being abused. Like, all of Andy's other toys are being abused because Lotso put them in the room where all the kids are too young to play with them, and they're throwing them around, putting paint on them. And Buzz goes and tries to talk to Lotso, and then it's changed back to demo mode, so Buzz becomes delusional again, but becomes a bad character. So again, I love how they do this in all three movies. In the first movie, Buzz is delusional. He thinks he's a space ranger. By the end, he realizes he isn't. And in Toy Story 2, Buzz meets another Buzz that's delusional, so it's funny as well, because it's which Buzz is which. And in this one, Buzz is changed again, but to a bad delusional Buzz, and then he goes into Spanish mode, where he's a good Buzz, but he's speaking Spanish. I love how every single Toy Story movie they make Buzz such a funny, different character. Even though they use the same kind of trope about him being delusional in all three movies, they make it so incredibly fresh that it doesn't feel like it's been done over and over. And I love that. Like, just so much. That's so great. And I just love the fact that, so the toys are getting abused there. Woody comes back, and he hatches a plan to have them all escape Sunnyside. Like, they're going to all escape. The only way they can do it is do it out of, like, it becomes a prison movie where they've got to work their way around all of these people watching. The only way they can make their way out of this daycare is through the garbage chute. So there's that big risk of being taken into the garbage. Which garbage is a very, very strong theme in this movie. And it's just, they escape so many times with trash and with garbage. Like, it's crazy how much they do it. So I love that the end game for this movie with these characters, to escape this daycare, is to go through the one real fear that toys have, getting thrown away and just destroyed through the garbage chute. And that's just a fantastic final, in this trilogy, a final way of the toys finding the only escape is to get to certain death and try to escape it through the trash. And I love too that this movie, while really serious and dire, it still has so much humor in it that's really great. Again, like, whenever Buzz becomes delusional in his Spanish Buzz, that's so funny because he hits on Jessie and he makes all these great jokes where, like, she doesn't know what to think about it, and her reactions to him are so great because he just looks at her and thinks she's a beautiful goddess, like, she's so beautiful, and it's just so great because of that joke of Buzz and Jessie kind of off and on, like, do they like each other or not. And I love that Buzz, whenever he becomes Spanish Buzz, he just fully admits that, like, he loves her and, like, he treats her like a goddess. That's just so hilarious. Or whenever Barbie is tricking Ken to try to get, like, the manual for Buzz Lightyear to fix him back, she goes to Ken's dream house with him, and he has all these different clothes, and she says, "Can you model for me?" And he models, and it has the song "Freak Out" while it's playing of him modeling, and she's just making funny reactions like "Meow," like stuff to him like that. And, like, that funny last moment of, like, him doing the pause moment where, like, he does a pose, and, like, all the, I forgot what the word is, but all of the little straps on his shirt are kind of just flapping really slowly like it's a pose. It's just really funny with his dance off, like him just doing these dress ups. And you would think that wouldn't be that funny, but it was hilarious because Michael Keaton was great. Really loved that. And just the escape takes so long in such a great way. And also another humorous moment is where Mr. Potato Head has to literally take his body parts and put it in a tortilla to get through and actually move and make his way to get this plan to work to get them to escape, because like his potato body is like stuck in the sandbox because like it can't escape, but he can get his other body parts out of a little hole. But him using a tortilla is just so hilarious of putting all his body parts in it and walking around. Again, like the humor in this is so funny, and like I love the fact that they change it up every single movie with these characters and how they make them so fresh. Even though this movie has a plot like the other two, or like they get lost and they have to go find their way back home. Like I love how they do it in all three movies, but it works so fresh and so uniquely in each one. So unique. And whenever they finally escape and make it to the garbage chute, this is a pivotal moment. God, I can't talk. Where he, like, everybody gets to the garbage chute, they land at the bottom, they're gonna jump over, Lotso comes down, and then Woody tells Lotso the truth about Daisy, and says that, or tells Big Baby the truth about how she lost them, and then Lotso was the only one that was replaced, and Big Baby, like, he was lying to Big Baby the whole time, and this character, Big Baby, who is this, for the whole movie, just this almost silent, cooing baby that, like, is creepy and disturbing looking, you feel the most incredible sympathy for this little baby character, because whenever Woody tells the truth and Big Baby realizes that Daisy could have had him still, Lotso grabs the necklace for Big Baby, because Big Baby looks at it and cries, "Mama," and just says that line, and it is just so heartbreaking. And then Lotso grabs and yanks the necklace that says "My heart belongs to Daisy," and he says, "Don't be such a baby," and like he like stomps like his stick onto the necklace and like breaks it, and then Big Baby starts crying, and then Big Baby like throws Lotso in the garbage, which is a great fulfilling moment for Big Baby to go through and actually stand up to him. But he was being lied to, he didn't know the truth, but that is just such a great moment for this character. You feel so much sympathy for this baby that doesn't even talk throughout the movie, and it's creepy, but then you feel complete sympathy for Big Baby at the end. Like, it's so great. And just that moment of Woody getting pulled into the garbage chute, and then everybody sacrificing, jumping back and trying to grab Woody before the garbage falls in. They all fall into the garbage, so they are being taken to the dump. And from here on, this movie becomes a legit horror movie. Like, with a few comedic moments, it still becomes a legit horror movie. I cannot believe this movie was rated G. Like, they only did it on a bias. And they said afterwards, like, this should have been rated PG. This should have been, because of how incredibly hard to watch this movie gets. This becomes a literal horror movie, and not in the way of like gory. It becomes a horror movie in a way where they are taken into a garbage truck. All this garbage is falling on them. They've got to run to try to avoid the garbage falling on them. Then they are literally dumped into the actual Tri-County landfill area, and the lighting becomes dreary and terrifying, and there's a shot of like them all sliding down like in the garbage, like out of the truck, and there's a shot of Woody getting up looking at this apocalyptic looking area where like there's nothing but stacks and stacks of garbage, and the lighting is so dark and so creepy. And I love the fact that they are thrown into the actual like conveyor belt. They're going down the conveyor belt, like they're going to get shredded. So they grab something metal, fly up into the top, and Woody in the last moment saves Lotso, which I love that just shows how fantastic of a character Woody is. Him and Buzz jump down, grab Lotso, jump right up before they get shredded through the shredder, and you would think that pays off to where Lotso and Woody are friends, and I love that it doesn't, but I love that Woody saves him. Woody and Buzz save Lotso, this guy who's done all these horrible things. They save him just because they're better people. And I love how they think everything's fine, and I love the fact that Rex has this reaction where it's all, the conveyor belt looks fine. They're just going through a conveyor belt like they're going through, like it's going to be over soon. And then Rex just says, "I see daylight." And then they all look, and then Woody has this human reaction where he just goes, I don't think that's daylight. And then it fast zooms into where they're going, and it's an incinerator. And you see them running while Lotso jumps onto to try to get the emergency stop button, and Woody and Buzz push him up to get him up the stairs. And then they are almost at the edge, and then Lotso doesn't push the button. And after Woody just saved him, you could see how horrible of a villain this guy is. He is irredeemable in that way. And he doesn't press the button, so he doesn't emergency stop this conveyor belt. So all the toys fall down into the incinerator, are slowly sliding down into the middle, where the middle is where they will just be burnt to a crisp for dead. And this is one of the most hardest scenes in a movie I've ever seen, because of the nostalgia connection all these characters, because of how fantastic the other two movies are and this one is. The scene of them falling into the incinerator, slowly looking down, sliding down, they all look at each other. Jesse says, "Buzz, what are we gonna do?" And he grabs her by the hand and just gives her a look like it's done, like there's nothing we can do. And then they all hold hands while they just wait for the inevitable death of going down the incinerator. It is one of the most heartbreaking things I have ever seen in a movie. I'm not afraid to admit that I cry in this movie. It's that powerful. It's that emotional. Them just holding hands, waiting to die, is just one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie. And I love that this movie takes it that far. It doesn't sugarcoat it. It goes that far. And of course they're saved by the aliens, and that payoff of the claw, where they use the claw to get them out of it, is fantastic. And you just get such an incredible sigh of relief whenever they are saved. It just blows me away every single time and makes me legitimately cry. I don't care. But man, and then they go, and it even gets even more sad than this, because they make it home right before Andy's about to leave, and they go up and say a goodbye. And I've listened to the commentary for this movie, and Lee Unkrich, who's the director, that scene where Woody says goodbye to everybody else because he's going in the college box while everybody's going in the attic box. He said in the commentary, if you look at this scene where they're saying goodbye in Andy's room and don't have any other scenes afterward, it could have ended perfectly. So he wanted it to be that could be the legit end, even though it isn't, but it feels complete with that scene of them saying goodbye to each other. And the shot of Woody jumping up, getting into the box, but looking back at them, and then they close the box, and then he jumps in the box. And then I love the fact that Andy comes in with his mother, and this is just an emotional scene for the human characters who aren't really incredibly important in these movies because it's more about the toys. But it shows Andy and his mom walking in, and Andy's mom just starts crying, and he just says, "Mom, it's okay." And she just says, "I know. It's just, I wish I could always be with you." And then he just says, "You will be, Mom." And it's Woody looking out of the box, hearing this, that changes Woody's thoughts of the whole movie being hopelessly devoted to Andy. Then realizing, looking at a picture of him, of young Andy with him playing with all his toys, they will be with him no matter what, even if they're gone. So while they're distracted, while Andy and his mom and Molly are distracted, petting Buster, Woody goes out and writes an address on the box. And I love the fact that Woody gets in the box too, even though there's that fake out, he didn't, he was still going to college, but Woody gets in the box as well, and Andy goes and takes them to this address where Bonnie lives, the girl from throughout the movie that we've seen, this nice, sweet little girl, and Andy just sees her playing with her toys and thinks this is just like him. And again, if the incinerator scene was just emotional enough, this one ends where Andy literally goes up to Bonnie. He's giving away all these toys. He names every one of them, gives them all descriptions, really great descriptions of these characters toys that he's grown up with for most of his life. And then he has one last like he has Woody in the box too, and he didn't realize he's in the box. And Bonnie says, "That's my cowboy," and then like he looks at him. She almost grabs Woody. He holds back, grabs Woody in his arms, and just looks at her. Then looks down at Woody, and the reaction with the animation is just him going, and like he gives that sigh of like he's gonna give Woody to him too. And his lines where he says, "Now Woody, that like he'll never give up on you, and like he's kind and wonderful like a cowboy should be. Do you promise to take care of him for me?" And he gives him, like, Bonnie shakes her head and he says okay, and he gives it to her, and she just hugs him and just immediately loves him. And then we have the final playtime with Andy playing with the toys again, one last time with Bonnie. And the toys throughout the movie have wanted just to be played with one last time with Andy. And it pays off. And these toys, it's just them being like not moving at all because they're around humans, but you can tell these characters are feeling emotions even when they're not even making any facial expressions, of just the shots of them all playing, of Bonnie and Andy playing together with all the toys. Like, you already can tell that these toys are feeling so many emotions on the inside, even though they're sentient. Or not sentient, they're not moving at all. But, man, it's just a perfect moment of like them both playing with all the toys one last time. And then one moment that just literally makes me tear up is where Andy's getting in the car, Bonnie's holding Buzz and Woody, she shakes Woody's hand like he's saying goodbye to her physically, like he's saying goodbye to Andy physically, and Andy just breathes really loud, like, and then just says thanks guys, like, while he leaves. And then Bonnie goes inside with her mom, and then all the toys just watch while Andy drives away, and Woody just says, "So long, partner." And they just introduce themselves to all the toys, and that's how it ends, like, to the other Bonnie's toys, and they all are seemingly just gonna live a happy life with Bonnie. And and it ends in a way where, like, the clouds are the same shape of the clouds from the first Toy Story, where the first Toy Story opened on clouds, shaped the same way. It's the same way with the clouds in the sky. Just perfect way to end it. This movie is just perfect. I cannot find anything that I do not dislike about this movie. I love everything about this movie. I love all three movies. All three of them are incredible. Some of my favorite movies ever. But this, on the pure emotional connection and the pure sadness, the pure horror of this movie, everything about this movie, on the humor, on the romance, on the action, like, everything about this movie, it has almost everything perfect in all these genres mixed together. It's just purely perfect. Just one of the most rewarding movies I've ever seen. Again, it might be my favorite movie ever. Love Toy Story 3. Just one of the best movies I've ever seen, and continue to watch it all the time. Love this movie. A perfect end to a perfect trilogy. Even though we're getting Toy Story 4, which is why I'm reviewing these again. And I am excited for Toy Story 4. I really am. I really hope it will reach the same peak as the other ones. I don't know, but I hope so. But that should be coming out in another week. So that is my review on Toy Story 3. So stay tuned for Toy Story 4 review coming up pretty soon. And tell me down below what you think of Toy Story 3. Do you love it as much as I do? And if you like this video, check my link down below for all my Patreon, Twitter, Letterboxd, all that stuff. And thank you guys again so much for watching.